What are literary devices and what are literary devices used for? Well, literary devices are techniques for the writers, whether you are a story writer, blogger, YouTuber, scriptwriter, teacher, creative writer, etc. These techniques or literary devices are super important for you to learn. These techniques lift up the writer's story. The tools take the writer's work beyond the literal meaning of the words, as literary devices work on an unconscious level of the reader, listener, or viewer to heighten tension, unconscious level. It creates a powerful impact on the audience. You will find literary devices in poetry, literature, non-fiction, and even drama. It will not only help you as a GCSE, IGCSE, or matriculation student, but it will also help those of you who want to become a writer or struggling with creative writing. Let's look into some common literary devices. Now, alliteration is the opposite of rhyme. Do you know what is rhyme? Well, let's get to know what is a rhyme. Because to understand alliteration, it is important for you to be familiar with rhyme. Now, rhyme is a literal device in which words or endings have a similar sound. For example, I will put a stanza in front of you from a poem, Leisure by W.H. Davis. I read this poem, by the way, in my first year. At that time, I was studying English literature. The stanza goes like this. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. You must have noticed the repeating sound at the end of the words in both lines, care and stare. Always remember that rhyme is a repeating of a sound at the end of two or more words. As you have understood what is rhyme, it will be easier for you now to understand and remember alliteration. Alliteration is the opposite of rhyme, which means alliteration repeat a sound but not at the end. Instead, alliteration repeats a sound at the beginning of two or more words. Let me give you a stanza as an example from one of the most famous alliteration poems by John Masefield. It goes like this. I must down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. You will also find alliteration in tongue twisters. For example, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. What is an anecdote? As a creative writer, GCSE, IGCSE, or matriculation student, you need to know about the literary device anecdote. An anecdote is a short, interesting story about a real person or an incident. For example, I remember back in the year 2021, 6 members of my family got COVID, even though they were fully vaccinated and we were performing all the SOPs religiously. Oh my God, it was a severe situation. I had to take leave from my job. I, my husband, my brother were on our toes. I was mostly in the kitchen for long hours, as the doctor said, a rich diet is a real medicine. Unfortunately, my mother and sister couldn't make it through. Harsh but true. So, this is called the anecdote, where you write about any incident, any story about real life. Next is direct address. When the speaker is directly talking to the individual or group, for example, Rachel, can you make a cup of tea for me? The direct address can also be a pronoun. For example, hey, where have you been? You are responsible for all the chaos. So here, two pronouns, hey and you, are examples of direct address. Emotive language is a collection of strong words that evoke the reader's, listener's, or viewer's emotions. By viewers' emotions, if I talk about a TV program, film, or YouTube video related to any of the emotions. If you notice the dramas these days, they use extreme levels of vocabulary, especially related to anger and violence. Similarly, as a reader, if you read words like heavenly, your brain will feel the feeling of peace, calmness, and serenity. But if you read words like destroyed, betrayed, or killed, you will feel anger. As a GCSE, IGCSE, or Matriculation student of English language, you need to use strong words for the language. For example, betrayed, heavenly, or terrifying, etc. Now, this video is not only restricted to students, it is also crucial for all those who have the passion to be a writer or a poet. Hyperbole is the next language device. It involves exaggeration, mainly to create an effect or to put an emphasis. It doesn't mean to be taken literally. For example, I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. Eat a horse? It doesn't mean at all that I'll be eating a horse. Rather, this phrase is creating exaggeration or panic for the other person to arrange food as quickly as possible because he or she is very, very hungry. I have some more examples for you regarding hyperbole. I usually don't watch any movie for the second time, but my family rewatches. So I asked them the other day, don't you get bored of this film? Like you have watched it 100 times. Now there is another example of hyperbole. I've told you 1,000,000 times to complete your homework. I'm sure every mother must be using this hyperbole every day, almost 100 times. Let me know in the comments the hyperbole in this example. This is all from today's video, but this doesn't end here. I'll bring some more literary devices for you in the next video, so stay tuned.